a few ones that are actually flowering right now, a few slides, but just to carry on and throughout the COVID crisis, I wanted to say a little about how fortunate and how spiritually grateful we are for living in this Salish Sea ecosystem on the traditional territory of the Nemo Peak First Nations, and that we have these, on Protection Island, we have these beautiful ecosystems that really sustain us in times of troubles and times of, you know, this pandemic, and in particular, I was very saddened by the shooting in Nova Scotia, to think that someone in a small community could do that.
Can I leave?
And it's really nature that's so important for sustaining us, and that we're very fortunate and grateful to have these ecosystems, and to be able to be outside. Many people are stuck in their houses, in their computers, like we are right now. But in general, we can get out and have fresh air and be sustained by nature, and also be appreciative of it. And that's our time to do that. And I'm sure once the crisis is even over, that it will have more meaning to us. So I have a few slides of some other Garry Oak species that are on Protection Island too, but maybe in less abundance than this one. And these are I was lucky enough, I set out, it is spring, and so I get I love Protection Island, but I do want to be a bit restless to see other flowers and other ecosystems. So I kayak to South Winchelsea Island, which is just north of us off Nanoose, and to see what is a real abundance of wildflowers at this time. So I think Emily has a few slides of those. And there's I also wanted to show some photographs of the oaks, which are a little more advanced than here. Okay, so this photograph is actually Maud Island, and it is a arbutus, an arbutus section, which is also, arbutus are associated with the Garry Oak ecosystem as well. And I really feel like arbutus are really one of the great trees of Nanaimo area too. And so this is Maud Island, and it shows a Canada goose sitting on a ledge nesting. And they really, I've seen a lot of geese lately around, and they're very nesty and broody, and they're sitting on eggs right now. And these Canada geese are actually resident Canada geese that stay here all winter. And many of them I saw at least 5 collared geese, and they're some marked for that a study at VIU is doing. But they nest on some of these little islands, and they're actually quite destructive to the Garry Oak ecosystem, because they grub around and they introduce grasses from golf courses and things like that into these little Garry Oak ecosystems. Should I advance the slides, Emily? But this is an arbutus and quite a rocky ecosystem. The next flower that is here is sea blush, and it is a beautiful one. There's some out in Smugglers Park. They are smaller though. I've been looking for them, but on South Winchelsea Island they were in full bloom and very lush. Not sure if that's because of the otters and why the ones on our island are not so lush. I have tried transplanting them. They're winter annual, and many of the plants of the Garry Oak ecosystem meadow are winter annuals. They even start growing in February because we have such a mild system. You can see underneath there's a little bud of that is the common camas. And that was what I was speaking of in the thing. I have some other photographs of camas. This is a fresh young Garry Oak leaf that I saw there. They had leafed out. You can see they're a little more advanced than Protection Island, perhaps because of their south location. They're just a bowl of sun there. But they're very beautiful oak leaves, and just that way. In fall, they turn pretty brown. They're not so interesting. Let's see if I can. Should I advance that one, Emily, or is that? Yeah. Okay. And this is another little one, a beautiful flower in the Garry Oak that is called Blue-Eyed Mary. I think you can see the caption up in the left corner. And Blue-Eyed Mary are often associated with the sea blush, and together they're very beautiful. This is in the snapdragon type family. And even if you paddle along or go along close to the cliffs on Newcastle Channel, you'll see some of this on the little rocky outcrops where the deer aren't eating. Perhaps the deer eat these. I'm not sure why but when I first moved to Protection Island, they were more abundant. Okay, I'm gonna go to the next slide. I don't know if is it me that's pushing that? So here we have a beautiful patch of sea blush and common camas on Winchelsea Island, and just absolutely beautiful. So Winchelsea Island must have also, and probably Protection as well, was very much kept as a agricultural practice for digging camas. So the Coast Salish peoples used to cultivate this salmon, the camas, by also keeping out the bushes, like snowberry. And you can go to the Smugglers Park and have a look at the restoration area. And our own Nancy Turner has taken out some of the snowberry there. And what it revealed was, once it was released from that shade, perhaps, I'm not sure, but anyways, the camas is just fantastic underneath. And so the bulb was dug. And oftentimes I think it was dug about this time of year, because it co-occurs with another plant, the death camas, which doesn't flower right yet. But the death camas is a deadly neurotoxin, poisonous, and so the plants would have to be dug at this time. And the digging actually increased the friability of the soil and increased the camas. So you see the blue camas, and that's sea blush. And here we have what is the catkin-like flower of the Garry Oak, and it produces both pollen and one of them will produce an acorn, and that's what the plant acorn, and it will fertilize the acorns, and then this is like a catkin, and so this is the pollen producing part of it. And I don't have a picture of a young acorn coming out, but I just thought that was interesting to see that, to illustrate the point about the Garry Oaks. And that's it for those things. And so right now there's a few other plants out that are flowering, and they are the dull Oregon grape with yellow flowers, and then white flowers Saskatoon berries. So you look for those, and definitely look for the camas, which is even around on the roadside verges. And I've seen some on Pirates Lane, people have put some little logs there to stop people mowing right now. So it's great. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I haven't talked much about the animals and plants of the Garry Oak ecosystem, but right now we have a lot of violet green swallows coming in and feeding over the meadows. And it's important, these meadows are kind of an unusual ecosystem in our coastal forest, because, and a swallow likes to feed over the open meadow. Bluebird, for instance. And so I was the chair of the Vertebrates at Risk Recovery Implementation Group, and we had about 7 species of 4 or 5 birds and the shark-tailed snake that were at risk in the Garry Oak, and were really associated with Garry Oak ecosystems. And so we tried working on them, but some of them are extirpated. And some of the threats to Garry Oak ecosystems are, of course, that they exist in habitats that people also like to live in, beautiful sunny spots, and there's the deep soil meadows, and people like to build houses there. And so most of the Garry Oak ecosystem is really itself is a very endangered ecosystem in Canada, one of the most endangered, due to habitat degradation and habitat just taking it over. So I am happy to answer any questions if anybody has any. With that, I conclude that I'm not sure how long that's taken. Oh, it's one. Okay, about nearly half an hour. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. And I also worked on quite a bit of restoration, so I do can answer things about that sort of thing. Or I can do private, socially distanced consultations about any restoration ideas you might have, or thoughts you might have, questions you have.
If anyone has a question, they could just type their name down in the chat box, and then I can look you up and unmute you if you want to do it that way, or I could just try unmuting everyone, and then we could have a free-for-all in the question department, unless it gets too rowdy. All right, everyone should be unmuted, so if anyone has a question, feel free to shout it out.
Trudy, it's Valley.
Hi, Valley.
Hang on, you're going to get to see me. I'm cooking while I'm watching you. Hello? With my little boy haircut.
Hello.
Myself for COVID. I wonder if any of the lilies that we love so much, the camas lilies, can be legally transplanted. I know they grow deep. They take a long time to grow. Anything about that if we wanted to introduce them into habitat on our own boulevards or properties? Can we do it?
Yes, I think Jürgen is particularly good at growing the lilies, but my dad, I think I mentioned in the video, I don't know if it came through, but I grew up in a camas meadow, basically, a Garry Oak meadow in Victoria, and all around us were both the giant camas and the common camas, and they seed. So they have they're all the lilies, and same with the thing. They seed, and so but the seed takes about 7 years to get bulb flowering size, and so really that probably is the easiest way. Also, there was we used to do plant rescue quite a bit because of the development, and I've been out with Liz on Mount Zuhalem, which is an area that is absolutely a fabulous Garry Oak meadow too, Mount Zuhalem Ecological Reserve, and nearby. But you know, they were developing that whole mountain area. The ecological reserve itself is basically only 17 hectares. It's what we used to call an island in a sea of change, and so all around they were doing this digging, and we dug up plants. And in fact, I've got some fawn lilies in my yard and some camas that are growing that we rescued from there, and maybe some shooting stars there. So
are they protected? Are we precluded from doing that? I thought it was.
Well, not in those kind of places, but I would move them. They're not, you know, there isn't legal protection for plants in BC, except the dogwood and are really plant. So it's actually sort of a failing of our, you know, legislation in a way. But you know, but nonetheless, morally, I wouldn't be doing and digging up plants from anywhere, really, parks, except if they're going to get destroyed anyways. So
okay,
I mean, it was always a very sad.
Yeah,
does that
that's what I wanted to know. Yeah,
Jürgen is growing bits of camas and things like that, and I think they sold them at the plant sale last year.
Yeah, they did. They had them in little packets, but 7 years, who knows, huh?
So you can collect seeds too, and grow them.